how do the changes in a woman's body affect her yoga practice? So maybe we could start with, the kapha stage when women are young girls, and then we can move into menstruation during the pitta stage, and then the vata stage of perimenopause and menopause. Maybe we could just go through sort of some of the general things we need to think about.
Absolutely. There is just one more point I would like to say or
Yes.
share is there are several sources to learn from. Sometimes, we think that, oh, my parents did not tell me this, they did not give me the reason. Because we think of them as a singular source from where the knowledge can come. I remember growing up,
Mhm.
I was a very curious child. I think most of the children are curious. I think I had some extra curiosity. I would not listen until the reason was given to me. So if I would not get the reason from my mother, I would go to my father or my grandmother or my aunt. I would just
Mhm.
keep digging. And I feel that is important because one book, one teacher, one person cannot give all possible answers.
I agree.
And because they are not able to give, because there are, even in yoga it says there are three valid sources of learning.
Mhm.
One is anumana, which means assumption, inference. When you come to a deduction, when you infer something, like there is a smoke, so there must be fire somewhere, a
Right.
very classic example. Then the second is pratyaksha, your own personal experience, that if you have this experience, for example, you're listening something in this episode, and you are listening to it because, let's say, you have developed a certain liking for healthy healing podcast, and you trust that, but you apply that. For example, I'm suggesting that, oh, Bhramri pranayam may aggravate the vata dosha, but that may not be the case for you. So that is where your pratyaksha
Mhm.
is very powerful, because your experience itself is telling you a story. And the third is apta. And apta may be learning through the books, learning through text, learning through a teacher, or sometimes the voice of parents, where
Mhm.
we may not get a reason, but because we trust, we listen. Now,
Yes.
I also understand that it could be limiting sometimes to just listen, but keep the mind open that there are several
Yes.
sources of learning,
Mhm.
and we must just keep learning. If one source doesn't work, go to the other source.
Yes.
uh, Coming back to the three stages and how the practice can change, the initial stage, that is the kapha stage. At this stage we need more movement, because the quality of kapha is stagnation, the
Mhm.
quality of kapha is growth, but it could also mean accumulation. So
Mhm.
this is the stage where yoga, that limb of yoga, that is asana, can be really beneficial.
Yes.
Surya Namaskara, or asanas which are stretch based, like forward fold, back bend, twist, all these asanas that give 5 movements around the spine. I would say that keep this simple rule in mind. There's 5 movements around the spine: the stretch, contraction, twist, forward fold, and back bend as a group, inversion. These are the 5 movements that you can give around the spine. So if we combine forward fold and back bend as one group, contraction and stretch as other group, twist as the third one, inversion as the fourth one, and lateral stretch, the side stretch, as the fifth one. These are 5 basic movements which allow proper circulation around all internal organs. So
Mm.
this is important to understand, that yoga is always about, even the physical part of yoga is
Yeah.
always about work in. You're working inside out. So at this kapha stage, among all the limbs of yoga, focus on the asana part. That would be really beneficial.
Mhm.
When we move towards the pitta stage, that is the stage during which a woman's body goes through menstruation cycle every month. At that stage, your practice before menstruation cycle, during menstruation cycle, and after menstruation cycle changes. The
Mm.
menstruation cycle itself is considered vata stage. After the menstruation cycle, the 10 days are considered kapha stage in a woman's body. Even though your constitution could be vata, pitta, kapha,
Yes.
during that 1 month time period, those 5 to 7 days or 3 to 5 days are considered to be the vata stage. Then comes the kapha stage, and then comes the pitta stage. So your practice changes according to the qualities of these doshas. So during the menstruation cycle, any asana that interferes with the vata dosha, the vata dosha during menstruation cycle is primarily controlled by apana. And
Mhm.
apana is that animating energy that animates the eliminating organs and the generative organs. These two group of organs are operated by apana vata. And the purpose of apana is downward and outward. It helps move things downward and outward. It's a kind of release, it's a kind of letting go. So, in that time period, if we are doing practices like pranayama with kumbha, holding on, we are working against the intelligence of the body. Or
Right.
if we are doing asanas, which are too much movement based, we are also interfering with the vata dosha. Or let's say we are practicing inversion. Now, inversion is inward and upward. What is the primary quality of apana? Downward and outward. So,
Right.
inversions must be avoided, not because, oh, why should I not do? I can do everything. Of course, we can do everything. But when we learn how it may interfere and therefore may harm the body, then once we know better, we do better.
Yes.
That the purpose of these practices is not to build do's and don'ts, it's to support
Mhm.
our progress, karmic progress. It's to
Mhm.
support our spiritual progress through
Mhm.
this physical body, through this mind. So, practices asanas which are inversions, asanas which are on the abdomen, pressure on the abdomen, twists, or laying down on the abdomen asanas, or asanas which put too much pressure, like boat pose. When you lift your legs up, so much tension builds up in the abdominal organs, in the abdominal region. That should be avoided. But
Mhm.
that does not mean things only have to be avoided. There are things that you must and can do and benefit from. All these subtle practices,
Right.
which is actually asanas, is the tip of the iceberg, that is yoga.
Right.
All the other practices, the subtle practices, are actually the real yoga.
Right.
And this is a time period, such a unique time period, where women's body is, it's almost like inside out. We can absolutely be in touch with our subtle body
Mhm.
through mantra, through mudra, through shavasana, through meditation, through yoga nidra. So many possibilities open up, so many opportunities open up for us. So it is a perfect time to do simple 1:1 breathing, or 1:2 breathing, or 2:1 breathing. And if you find it a little boring, you can incorporate it with your anuloma viloma, with your nadi shodhan.
Mhm.
This is a way to support the body in the letting go process, in the cleansing process, in the renewal process.
Mhm.
And when we talk about the vata stage of life, in the vata stage of life, which is characterized by roughness, dryness, stiffness, sometimes even thinning and drying of the skin. Sometimes it may be accompanied by constipation. Sometimes it may be accompanied by a state of mind, forgetfulness, lack of focus. At that time, all those practices, starting from the physical body, instead of focusing on the muscles and the internal organs as such, this is a really good time to focus on the bone tissue, on the nervous system tissue, because these are the two tissues which primarily are governed by vata dosha.
Mhm.
So, joint movement exercises, joint rotation exercises, apana kriyas, these are really beneficial. So, I think we have to really understand this arc. Kapha, mostly physical based practices will be beneficial. Pitta, subtle body practices will be beneficial. And Vata, the causal body practices, more meditation, more yoga nidra. These practices will help in pacifying the Vata dosha, not just pacifying the Vata dosha, but bringing clarity to the mind, discernment, so that we can move using the practices of yoga, we can move towards the goal of yoga, that is
Mhm.
yoga.
Mhm. Wow, that's beautiful and actually very it's complicated, but it's also so simple in a way that you've described it because it gives you some things to focus on. You know, asana in the beginning, in the first stage of life, during childhood, the kapha time, and then moving to more of the subtle body practices during your pitta time, during that middle time of life when you're so busy with so many things, right? And then during the vata perimenopause, menopausal time to go with the causal practices.